Senator.
Thank you, Commissioner Goldsmith Romero. Thank you once again for the conversation we had. And I told you then I was going to ask you these questions, so they're not a surprise to you whatsoever. Give you an opportunity to deal with some of the challenges. Unlike the chairman who suggests the only reason to vote against someone in this committee is because of partisan reasons. That's just hogwash, to be blunt. The truth is that the whistleblower complaints, and I think the whistleblowers would actually disagree with the chairman's comments as well. The whistleblower complaints suggests that the same challenges that we see at the FDIC under Grunberg, some of those same challenges exist with SIGTAR under your leadership. And so my question to you is, how would you respond to some of the challenges that we've talked about in my office?
Thank you, Senator. I really do appreciate the time to address this. I absolutely disagree. There's nothing like what was in the Cleary report at the FDIC. We had, and I was very glad to have this, a very independent and fair process that employees could go to and they felt safe going to, and they did. And I'm glad they did, because then as management, we could see what the issues were that we had to address. We never had any women complaining about sexual harassment. We never had these issues of retaliation. I was responsible. If there had been discrimination, harassment, retaliation, I would have taken it seriously and dealt with it right away. The findings were, and I have to respect the process, but also the outcome. In 11 years, there was only one finding against the agency. It was early on in my tenure, and I took it very seriously and addressed it. I'll also say that all IGs and their senior staff are held to a very, very high standard because we fall under the oversight of SIGI. And so SIGI has an integrity committee that will do reports and investigations on IGs, and they never had any findings. But even without having discrimination or retaliation or harassment, what I can tell you is that I still cared about employee morale and trying to have employees feel supported, and trying to, we just created this environment of high dignity and professionalism and respect so that employees could bring their best selves to work and work like a team, and the senior staff shared those same values. And I believe that's reflected in the great success that SIGTARP had. We were a very small agency and compared to the mission that we had to take on. So everyone was pulling together, and we were able to have that success and protect the financial system. So that's why I want to go to the FDIC and do the same thing there.
Can you confirm for me that you've had no complaints filed against you specifically for discrimination, harassment, or retaliation?
Senator, I think it would be very normal to name me in any kind of complaints, and I would welcome that because I'm ultimately the one responsible for changing things and fixing things right away. So the buck stops with me. And so I would be named, that would be a very normal thing to name all the managers all the way up. But in my 11 years, we only had this one finding early on.
I'm certainly familiar with the concept that there are three sides to every story: yours, mine, and the truth. And so I certainly appreciate you answering that question. In my office, we also talked about the importance of trying to find a way for the employees, especially at the FDIC and beyond, that have had challenges within the organization to be able to go forward with complaints, but not go forward with complaints. And the same with organization that actually manages. So under Chair Grubenberg, has a recent proposal creating the FDIC's Office of Professional Conduct and Office of Equal Employment Opportunity. Of course, the challenge is that all those reports, complaints, and concerns come straight back to the chair. How would you create a culture where the person who is handling the complaints isn't a part of the organization itself?
Thank you, Senator. I really do appreciate that you and I had some time to talk about the importance of it having an independent and fair process. So in the federal government, the EEOC sets that up. There's various agencies for different kinds of allegations, but the EEOC sets that up and works with the agencies to do that in a way where the investigations can be investigated so that there's no influence on the fact finder. These are the types of things that are important, that independence.
Do you have state supervisory experience?
So, Senator, I have worked a lot with the state banking regulators, quite a bit. In fact, Pierce Bank in Washington, we were able to go in with the state banking regulators for years that we did, working hand in hand We ultimately found why the bank failed, uncovered the cause of it, and then we brought significant convictions in that case. I believe 15 bankers who were convicted. We were working hand in hand with the state banking regulators.
So you do believe that your nomination comports with the FDI Act?
Are you talking about to have the
Yes.
banking super? So I'm not. If the way it's written, I understand the issue there. I believe if the way it's written is as someone who has to have worked in a state banking regulator, I have not done that. I've just worked with the state banking regulators. That was just one example.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Senator Scott. Senator Smith of Minnesota is recognized.
Thank you, Chair Brown and Ranking